Hey gang, we're back. We're back. We're really getting through some of these toots today. So now we already talked about light logic. I did craft a sphere out of a circle so that you can see what changing a circle, a plain circle, into a spherical shape like that. This would be this. So now we're going to do just a basic simple cube. And this is going to be an intuitive sketch. I'm not using linear perspective. I'm just going to do an intuitive sketch of a cube with the front panel facing me, which means we have two verticals and two horizontals. And then I'm going to do some diagonals to kind of give it a three-dimensional feel. And this is more or less an isometric cube, where I'm not using linear perspective, true linear perspective. So I'm creating a isometric cube. All these lines are in the same orientation instead of converging to a vanishing point. So we have an isometric cube. We're going to have our light source up here. Okay. And then we are going to start to map out our regions. We're going to try to understand that since the light is coming in this direction here, the brightest part of the cube is going to be over here, and maybe more so on the top instead of the front, because I'm going to say that my light source is behind my cube. And so this front panel might not be so bright. This one will be brighter. Okay, so this one will be the lighter tone. And I'm just going to use one pencil to do the entire thing. And I want to use my 4B because my 4B can give me a better range of values. So I'm going to use the 4B. So up here, very, very light. Okay, very, very light. Take your time. And this is just a study so you can understand and see how a cube like this, not only does the stylized or isometric perspective of it give us the illusion of three-dimensionality, but when you value in a certain way that works with the light logic, the light source illuminating it, it gives it even more profound perspective. So I'm gonna darken it on this end just a little bit, only because it's further away from the light source. It's kind of like this will be my core shadow right in here, maybe. You kind of have to look at things, look at a shape, and start discovery. It's really important to have discovery. Now, over here, this is going to be, remember we did these things? Probably don't remember. We did the little step thing right here. Okay, we did a really dark one up here. I'm going to go real fast. All right. We did a really dark one right there. Then we did kind of like a medium dark right here. Right? And then we did a lighter one right here. And then we did a really, really light one right here. Okay, so these four regions, maybe even five. Let me add another one up here. And we can go a little bit darker, heavier up here. We can even do 5. So this one is really, really dark. All right, so we have this tonal bar right here that will allow us to understand what flavors of values we're going to put on that cube. Okay, so right here in the front, this side gets no light at all. No light at all. The light source is back here. It gets no light at all. So what we can do is we can comfortably go back here and we can start to value very, very deeply here to get the darkest tone possible. And again, I'm just going really, really swiftly. You guys want to take your time and give it the best technique. Now, remember, you have a table down here, and it's going to have reflected light. This light source is coming across. It can come across there and end up on this table. So down here at the bottom, we want to keep that a little bit lighter. Okay? So lighten up your touch because we need that to be realistic. We need that to mean that there's reflected light at the bottom of the cube in the front because there is a white or a bright surface that it's sitting on. And I'm going to make it really heavy right here, the darkest area. And that's going to provide contrast between the top and the bottom anyway. So you always want to have, when you're drawing linear shapes like this that have corners and edges, you want to demonstrate contrast between panels of it so that it appears to be folding or bending or turning or something like that. Okay, so that would be the front side, and this part of it is probably this, or maybe some of that, or a little bit of both. This part of it right here is this region down there. And then over here, this one is pretty much hidden away from the light as well. It's not as dark as this. This is the furthest part away from the light source. So this area is going to be more like this. Okay? This and this. So use your key. You can put one of these on your drawings or on a sheet, on a separate sheet next to your drawings, just to have a key for values. So you can know how much value you want to put in certain areas. I'm going to turn this because my shoulder can't rotate in that other direction. So I'm just going to turn it a little bit. Okay, so now I am putting a medium dark tone right here on this side. Now I have to be mindful of the other side that has medium dark tone right here. My reflected light pattern can kind of come this way as well. Be right in that area. I don't know if you can see it, right about there. And it's kind of like a random glow that I'm going to put into this drawing. Go in different directions so that you don't have streaky lines. And this one is a medium dark area, and I will lighten as I go toward the bottom because there will be reflected light down here. Reflected light down here. Now, when you work with the sphere, it's a little bit easier to understand what the reflected light could look like. When you're working with different panels and cubes and stuff, it's a little bit more difficult. Even when you want to create the casted shadows, there's more difficulty with things that have panels. But we do our best to be very observant when we evaluate actual live objects. And to me, it would be worth it to get a box, illuminate one side of it, and sit it on an area so you can evaluate what it's doing. So now we have a cube that looks like it's illuminated from here with a brightness here. This is dark because the light can't get this, but this is bright because the table's reflecting back onto it. This is very dark because this is further away from the light source. Then we have reflected light down here. We also provided contrast here, here, and here so that we can see all three panels separately. And then as far as the casted shadow goes, and I'm just going to we're not into shadow basics yet, where I'm going to show you how to create shadows with linear perspective. I'm just going to put in what I know the shadow should be looking like with this one. And then when we get into the demos with shadow perspective, then you'll see really how to put a shadow on a cube. Let's see. And I'm just kind of mapping in what I see, my angles here. And this is just a loose rendition of the shadow. And all this gets shaded in. And remember, you have an occlusion shadow, which is this part of your spectrum that needs to go right up under the cube. And it's not just a line, it kind of diffuses a little bit into umbra and penumbra down here, the two areas of casted shadows anatomy. And over here on this side. Now, on this side, I'm going to really give it a lot of span out that occlusion shadow a little bit more. And over here too. Your shadows, depending on how close your light source is, that'll tell you how much value to put in for your shadow. And when you work with the occlusion though, it is the blackest. The blackest. And so I think I like this. So this is the way you construct a cube. and you throw in a little bit of shadow underneath. Using this little key here with 5 values. I know we worked on 4 before, but we have 5, and you can do 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You can do a whole lot of values. I've used the 4B, which is a great pencil for this kind of work. You can use 8B, 6B, or 8B if you like. I would not do an HB or 2B. I'd go higher than a 2B. If you have a 2B, use it. If not, if you have more than a 2B, use the more than a 2B. That would be great. So this is a cube with value. Okay, and this is the value key right here. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, because I did. I love doing stuff like this. So you go ahead and you practice this, and we'll see you back at the next tutorial.